Hey guys, this is Tom here. Just a little editor's note here to say that as of 7:35 p.m. on March the 11th, the Overwatch League put out a statement saying that due to the coronavirus, they would be cancelling all scheduled Overwatch League events for March and April. Their statement reads, "The health and safety of employees, fans, teams, players, and partners is paramount to Activision Blizzard Esports. We are continuing to closely monitor COVID-19, city-level recommendations and mandates, and all guidelines set forth by the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention. After a careful review and working in close collaboration with our teams, we are cancelling all Overwatch League events scheduled for March and April. For more details on these specific events, please visit the host team websites and follow their social channels. Concurrently, we are working hand in hand with our teams to see that all matches are played when it's safe and logistically feasible, staying close to our originally planned schedule as possible. We are considering the various options available to esports in this effort so that all teams, including those previously impacted by scheduling changes in China, can get back to doing what they do best. No adjustments have been made for any other scheduled Overwatch League events. We will share additional updates as needed." Welcome everyone to episode 3 of the Kill Feed podcast, hosted
Ew.
by Tom Zor, that's me,
Hey.
and Owen.
Hello.
O-R... How would you say your username?
Oric.
Oric.
Yep.
Like an orc.
No, Oric. Not
Oric.
orc. Oric.
Alright, okay.
There's a U, baby.
Right. So, let's start things off with some Overwatch League this week, shall we?
Yeah, same as every week, I think.
Yeah. So,
yeah.
this week, week 5, matches were hosted at the Washington Justice again. Can you believe it, Owen? Oric.
Wow. That big plan, master plan of having all the teams in the same place.
Yep. First
Every
match
fucking week.
First match of the day, Toronto Defiant versus Florida Mayhem. Ooh, things not looking good for the Toronto Defiant so far.
They are performing below where I thought they would perform, I'll be honest.
Mm-hmm. For sure.
But then the Mayhem have been much better than I thought they would be.
Yeah, Mayhem have done alright actually. I can't put my finger on where this Toronto roster's going wrong.
I mean, this was going to be a bad week for them in terms of their hit scan because McCree and Widow were both banned.
Yeah, we can get
so
onto...
Logix and Surefour were never going to be like on their like best heroes probably. This
we
week
can get onto hero pool discussions later because I think we probably have quite strong opinions about this. But it was Yaki's May of the Florida Mayhem that they just could not deal with later on.
Yeah, Yaki's May was really strong earlier on in the season as well.
Yeah.
Every time I've watched Florida, yeah, he's looked really, really good.
Obviously, the hero bands in question were McCree and Widowmaker, which would obviously affect Surefour quite a lot, being quite the hit scan specialist.
Yep.
It meant that Logix had to go on to Tracer, and
he's a well-renowned Tracer though.
He is a well-renowned Tracer, but every time he went in on Yaki, just boom, straight in the eye spot. Didn't have to worry about anything, you know.
Yeah.
Can't get a ton of value there. They were able to combine quite nicely as well for a Diva Bomb, where they blocked off some of the team with an ice wall. And yeah, they're just really struggling at the moment.
Yeah, I need to bring up the league table actually.
The league table at the moment is stupid because it takes into account every team.
Yeah, there it does fall down because there's loads of teams that haven't played.
Yeah, and then there's Dallas Fuel, which are below them.
Yeah. Yeah, but still, where Defiant basically sit on exactly the same record as Boston, who are absolutely the worst team in the league.
And I don't think the table lies here.
No, Defiant are really struggling.
Yeah, their performances have definitely put them in amongst where Boston have been sitting.
Yeah.
The following match, Paris versus Houston.
I'm
Quite
sure
the
this one.
turn up.
Yeah, I was going to say, I'm sure this one excited you quite a lot as a Houston fan.
Oh, it did. I was away at the weekend, but I managed to make sure I was able to tune in on some scatty 4G.
Yeah.
Very spotty, but yeah, a completely different Houston team turned up that day.
I mean, this was the first week with hero bans, right? So,
Mm,
I feel like now we're going to see teams that are able to adapt very quickly start to
yeah.
do well,
hmm
and maybe the chaos of that kind of helps Houston
Possibly,
a
yeah.
little bit.
Um, how Ben Best can't play Winston, I don't know. Because as a
Uh,
main tank, like in my head, you need to be able to play the three main tanks. You need
so,
to like the main tanks. So you need to be able to play Reinhardt. Arisa's pretty simple, I would imagine,
I
and you
mean,
need to
for
be
a
able to
pro player, yeah, I'm sure.
yeah, and you need to be able to play Winston. Not
So
necessarily at the highest level, but still,
I
you
didn't
know.
watch. I didn't watch the match. So did it, was it basically divey dive the whole time?
Yeah, and
Was was Sombra dive or just regular dive?
just just regular dive. They did try to change it up and play Sombra sometimes,
Mm-hmm.
and then Houston had to also change by putting like Blase on Doomfist, and you know
Sure.
they had a bit of flexibility there, so it wasn't just straight dive as
Yeah,
we
yeah.
know it. But like even when they weren't playing games, like waiting between matches, joking, laughing on stage, chatting amongst themselves, complete different atmosphere between
Yeah.
them compared to before, where they just like sat there, heads down, in
Yeah.
silence, more or less.
I genuinely think that the chaos it will benefit Houston in a big way. They
Mm,
like we've talked about it before, where they have this they have like what 4 or 5 different DPS players.
yeah.
They have like mega flexibility, so
hmm
they can essentially just dump in the players that suit that week best.
Oh,
Um,
absolutely.
so like we I'm sure like I didn't like I said I didn't watch it, but did Linkser see any playtime?
No, they
Exactly. So
kept.
yeah, his two of his best heroes, McCree and Widowmaker. They're
Yeah,
not in the pool. Linkser doesn't play. You don't have to worry about Linkser. You can worry about the other players that can play,
yeah,
like the heroes that are going to be useful. I think that helps them. It gives them less decisions to make.
yeah, totally. Hopefully I'm not wrong in saying this, but as far as I'm aware, they Houston didn't make any substitutions throughout the whole match,
Okay,
which compared to their
that's quite a big
previous
change. Yeah.
time when they kept swapping out Raucus for Repel, and then occasionally Hydration with Dante. They played Dante and Blase together. They kept the Korean contingent intact, Meko, Repel, and Hesse.
Yeah.
A completely different team.
Also, no Raucus at all this week.
No.
Interesting.
And Moomin's antics on Eichenwald is a
I
sight
did
to
see.
behold.
I saw the Winston deep dive.
The deepest dive. So for those that missed it, he on Eichenwald point A, he dove into their spawn whilst they were trying to cap the point, forcing 3 Paris players back to try to engage with him. Then he went primal and jumped twice back onto point, and by that point, at that time, it was just chaos all over the place.
Yeah,
They were able to.
his Winston's super strong, so it was
Mm,
like always going to be a good week for him, I think.
yeah, absolutely. So we move on to Boston, Washington.
Yep.
A bit of a surprise with this one because Boston took the first map.
That's the
Busan.
only thing that surprises me about this. I'll be honest. About
I
the
think
scoreline, that's the only thing that
yeah,
surprises me.
it was tighter than it looked to be on paper initially,
Right.
and I don't know whether that's Boston improving or Washington maybe a bit of fatigue there. They're playing too much because they've played a lot.
Washington have played a lot of matches compared to some of the other teams. So Washington have played 6. They've played 6 matches so far.
Hmm.
So there are other teams that have played that many, but
Yeah.
not that many teams have done that so far.
That's it.
But
Washington looked a lot better than when they last played the week before when they played London, and Corey looked absolutely knackered.
yeah, well, this is something we touched on last time where they got sick last
Hmm.
week, and that was never going to be a good thing. So it was nice that they can bounce back after getting reverse swept by London the week before.
Yeah.
But the fact that it was against Boston kind of means nothing.
No, that's it. I mean, it's sad to see that there is like a punching bag in the league, but it just seems that
Yeah,
Boston are the floor at the moment. And
I'm convinced that if Boston Uprising were in contenders, they would get relegated to
really,
trials.
wow.
They are so bad. Like I watched the match they played versus Atlanta on
Hmm.
the Sunday. We'll talk about that later, but oh boy, were they bad.
Mm, shaky times,
Hmm.
but a bit of a better performance for them. Obviously, not good enough for them to get the win, but
At least they started picking up a map.
yeah. Moving on to Sunday, Paris Eternal versus Philadelphia Fusion.
This
This
was
was a
always going to be a huge
game.
match. Yeah, this was going to be a huge match.
Mm.
I'm after the weekend, after the Saturday matches,
Hmm.
the result surprised me
Yeah.
because after Paris lost against Houston, I was like, oh boy, they're gonna get slapped by Philly,
Mm.
and then a totally different Paris team comes out, like like mentally,
Yeah, absolutely.
comes out and actually make it potentially one of the best games this season.
It's hard to think of any others that have like pushed each other that far. I know like the Houston 17 maps or whatever it was before, but no, this was super high level, incredibly passionate. It's so good to see Tracer back in the hero pool and Soldier especially as well, who's never got a ton of playtime in the league.
Yeah, he was really heavily in the meta before Overwatch League, but then yeah, once Overwatch League came around and other like Dive was prominent in season
Yeah.
1,
Hmm.
and then season 2 was goats.
We don't talk about those times.
Dark times.
Dark times indeed.
But um, but yeah, I mean I didn't see too much from that Paris Philly map, but I caught the last map, the Decider map 5, and I mean, it's just non-stop. It was breathless. Certainly the very end.
The like 19-hour overtime where it just kept
Yeah,
going
it was like
on and
a
on.
solid minute and a half overtime.
Yeah.
And credit where it's due. ZP and Jake cast it so well. It was
Yeah.
really hype.
Yeah,
And
they
those
were
are the moments that
fantastic.
we normally see someone like Uber come alive in.
Yeah,
But
absolutely.
sorry, you
Sorry,
go.
go on.
I was just gonna say I thought they handled it really well. Made it super hype.
Mm,
Without just ignoring what plays were being made.
yeah,
Um,
they didn't get
yeah,
caught
it
up
was
in
really
it.
really exciting. Yeah.
Uber tweeted a long time ago saying about that he didn't really think that casters were that important during like the live broadcasts and things like that. And I love Uber, but I completely disagree with him because they make those moments even more hype, even more memorable. You know, you think
Yeah,
of those those epic lines that they've said. You know, since this happened during that time. As the prophet going mad, and you know,
yeah. Yeah, that it just serves to hype up a situation.
yeah, it just
Um,
makes it even more memorable. And
yeah, absolutely.
like you said, ZP, and Jake did a fantastic job.
Yep, yep.
New York,
Um,
Washington,
yeah, New
or
York Washington was an interesting one. Um,
hmm,
so Washington win map 1.
And
and
everyone's
kind of
eyebrows.
convincingly, right?
Yeah, and everyone's eyebrows go.
Yeah,
like,
and like we know Washington have got really solid, have got a solid team. Everyone expects Washington to be really strong this season.
yeah.
But New York didn't look their like usual self. Corey pops off, looks like the best DPS in the league, like a lot of people will say he is. Aim God on Washington looked super good. And
Playing Zen.
yeah, playing Zen and basically
Yeah.
just like making Jonak look bad.
Yeah, taking it to him.
Yeah, so that was really impressive to see. But then going into map 2, suddenly, well, basically, Sabiolby plays map 1, and he's like the self-touted best tracer in the world.
Yeah.
And he just gets clapped by Corey, who is also playing tracer.
Yeah. Comfortably.
Yeah, absolutely. Is such a non-factor in the game. Like SBB is such a non-factor in the first map.
Yeah.
So he gets subbed out for map 2 for Nene. And NYXL style completely changes. They go from being really passive to having a hyper-aggressive tracer who essentially just serves to chase Corey and just nullify him.
Yeah. And I've always found those tracer duels a bit more interesting because they're not necessarily going after the backline, they're trying to counter each other's play.
Yeah, and there's like mind games come into it, and just raw skill, timing of like a recall, things like that. And Nene just looks so much stronger at this point, but it enables the rest of NYXL to kind of pop off, and Jonak starts coming into the game a bit more. Mano like starts looking a bit stronger, and they just kind of like bring themselves back into the game again, and suddenly the match kind of gets turned on its head just with that one sub.
Now, is that down to Sabiolby not being able to practice as much on Tracer, or not having as much playtime recently?
I mean, he's not had a lot of stage time recently, but I like assuming that they've been playing him in scrims, which is potential. Maybe he hasn't, but since the hero bans come in, they've had the equal amount of time to be able to practice, right?
Yeah.
But I think it was purely down to style.
I think New York looks
that
a lot
he is
better
he's so much
style.
more passive, and that worked in like a pure dive composition, but it didn't work. But basically, both teams played like a mirror match Sombra dive.
Yeah.
And it didn't seem to work for SBB. But yeah, basically by the time like Dorado was kind of close actually, Washington kind of nearly push it all the way. New York make it to their marker, take the map. Kings Row is a totally different affair. New York started kind of slow, but push all the way, and then Washington don't look good at all. And then Horizon Lunar Colony, New York push so hard on point 1, and like Washington look mentally boomed at this point.
Yeah.
They look so screwed, and they're making really terrible mistakes. New York capped the point with like 5 minutes to go, and then Washington come back into the match, managed to hold point 2, and you think, okay, Washington are coming back into this, and then they come out for their point, and they initially get kind of like 80% on the first point, and then they just everything goes wrong for the next like 3 minutes, and they just look so bad again. And I don't know, I think they just kind of like got mentally boomed in the end, and that was it. They just couldn't find their way back mentally into the game, and New York just like eased them out of it, and that was it basically. It's just it was an entertaining match, but
yeah,
only
definitely.
kind of for the first like 2.5 maps.
yeah. Once New York just realised they had a game on their hands there.
Yeah, exactly.
Do you want to introduce the last match of the
Oh
weekend?
yeah, last match of the weekend was Boston Atlanta. And I touched on it earlier. This Boston team is fucking awful.
Yeah.
So Atlanta win 3-0. And that's about as easy as a game will get all season for anybody. Boston looked lost.
They do.
They were kept playing Orisa Sigma into essentially dive.
Yeah, they did that against Washington.
Atlanta actually used Orisa quite a bit as well, but they played with the Diva, and Hawk's Diva was really strong. But he was able at all times to contest like 2 or 3 players at a time on his own, and you just can't let that happen. But like Boston genuinely just didn't look like they had a clue what they were meant to be doing, and I don't know whether that was just purely down to like they weren't sure with like they just weren't comfortable with the composition, or whether they didn't understand how they were meant to play the composition they've been asked to play.
Yeah.
But yeah, they just look super weak. It's embarrassing, to be honest.
Yeah, they're just all over the show.
If I was a Boston fan, I'd be gutted.
Yeah.
Because you've got to remember, because in season 1, Boston were actually like quite a good team.
Oh yeah, back when they were under Krusty.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Funnily enough.
He's done alright since, hasn't he?
He's done okay.
So, where do we want to go from here? Do we introduce the next week's matches? Or do you want to stop and take a little talk about hero pools?
Let's do the matches. We'll do some predictions, and then we can talk about the like kind of like Overwatch League news and
okay,
and so on.
Right. So first match of the weekend. This is at the Florida Mayhem homestand. It's not got a fancy name as far as I'm aware, like Battle of Bravely Love or whatever.
Nope, it's just
plain and simple. New York versus Atlanta Reign.
That should actually be a bit of a match.
Yeah.
Both teams got really strong DPS. Both teams got good tank lines, got good support lines. I don't think the hero bans make a big difference to either of these teams.
I would like to see Erster on Tracer versus this team.
Yes, Erster versus Nene. Tracer duel would be fun, actually.
Erster can do some nutty things.
Yeah, I think with Winston and Lucio out of the pool this week, we'll probably see a bit of a brawly style. We'll probably see Reinhardt. We could see Double Shield.
I hope not.
Because it's practiced. Like, these teams have not long stopped playing it, so I think that we could revert back to what we saw like 2 weeks ago. But I think that would be a good match regardless.
Yeah, definitely. It'd be interesting to see whether they start Sabiobi this time or just go with Nene from the off.
Yeah. I think New York can take it though.
Yeah, I don't doubt for a second that New York will take it, but I think Atlanta might push them a little bit.
Yeah, I think it'd be a 3-1 or 3-2.
Yeah, 3-1 from me, New York.
Fair enough.
Do you want to introduce the next one, seeing as they're your boys?
My boys. Yeah, London v Philly. I don't really know what to make of this one.
There's 2 Londons.
Yeah, good point. It does depend on how London shape up. Because we didn't play this weekend just gone, but the week before we went 2-0. We beat the Mayhem and we beat Washington, who are both reasonably good teams, but neither of them are at the level that Philly's at. So
no,
I think Philly will probably win that.
And I think Philly would be hurting a bit after losing to Paris.
Yeah, probably.
So I think Philly 3-0. To be honest,
Potentially. Yeah, probably a 3-0.
Paris, Florida mayhem. This could be a
You've
little
got to say
cracker.
it could be that could be exciting based purely on the DPS lineups.
If
Like
Florida,
yeah, BQB and Sire player versus like Soon and XE and stuff like that, I think could like be really interesting.
mm,
I think it could be fun to watch, but I think Paris are better than Florida.
yeah, definitely. Uh, It'd be interesting to see whether that the Paris result against Houston was like an anomaly, or
Yeah,
and Paris are at a much higher level,
yeah.
or
I think it probably was. But then I at the start of the season I rated Houston reasonably high. And
I
I
think
think
a lot of people did really.
yeah, I think they might like the start of Houston's season might have been a bit of an outlier as well
Mm.
to give them a little bit of credit. So, but yeah, I think Paris beat Florida.
But yeah, I think Paris beat Florida. I'm gonna go 3-2 though. I think it'd be quite a tight
Okay.
one.
I don't know. I'm gonna go for a 3-0 clean sweep.
Clean sweep. Do you want to do the honours?
Yeah. So on the Sunday, matches kick off with Toronto and Washington. Some of Toronto's better heroes back in the pool for their DPS, but I think Washington DPS is better than Toronto DPS. So
I think Washington have got a lot of momentum behind them at the moment at this point, and Toronto are struggling. In their game against Florida, Agility's really had a hard time getting any final blows or kills,
right,
and that obviously like held them back massively. And
yeah.
you know,
Agilities has always blown a little bit hot and cold, but
mm,
he should be being more consistent than that at this point.
yeah,
But yeah, I think Washington win that. I don't think there's any problem for Washington.
no, me neither. So I'd go 3-0 Washington.
Yeah, same.
London Atlanta Reign. Next match.
I think it's the same scenario as London Philly, where London, if they turn up in the right way, could make it a real game. But I think that Atlanta are better than London.
Yeah. Where are Atlanta on the standings at the moment? Oh, sitting sixth currently.
Sixth. They've won 2, lost 1.
Yeah, so not
So
played
they,
a
who
ton
did
of
they
matches.
lose against? Can't remember now.
Hang on.
I think it was Paris. They lost against Paris.
Wow, there's no shame in losing against Paris. To be honest,
No.
They are a good team.
Yeah, so Defiant absolutely slapped. Atlanta slapped the Defiant, then got beaten in a close match against Paris, and then slapped Boston. So I think against London, I think it'll be close, but I think or closer potentially,
Yeah.
but I think Atlanta win that one out.
Yeah. Gonna go.
Yeah, then weekend finishes with Boston versus Florida.
I can't
That'll
see.
be a quick 3-0 for Florida.
Yeah, that's it. BQB. Everyone else showing out. You know.
Unless Boston figure out like iron out their issues, that I just think they're lost for a long time. They just seem all over the place. It's a bit of a mess.
Yeah. Widowmaker will be back in the mix if Saya player wants to flex his muscles a little bit.
Yeah.
But I can't see anything other than a Florida win there.
No, me either. Nice.
Nice. Right. Hero pools. Let's do it.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Alright, let's deep dive.
So let's deep dive. Right, so they introduced the hero pool system, didn't they? To try
Yep.
to shake up the metas.
Yep.
So the way that it works on live is that the top percent of each role.
Yeah, so it's
is
basically
banned.
any team with over 10%.
Yeah, any
playtime.
hero with over 10% playtime is eligible for being banned.
Yeah.
But the way it works in the league is they take all those ones and they put them in a big drum and spin it around and just go, this guy is banned.
This one's gone.
This one's gone.
Yeah. So for pure like entertainment value, like there's nothing wrong with that. Like it's a fun watch to see them pick and then discuss like what they think or how much impact they think that might have. But yeah, I don't know.
It could just be done so much better. I think all of it could be. How does it not sync up with the live game environment? The heroes that are banned in game need to be the ones that are banned in the league.
It would make sense, right?
Yeah.
Because so like you're saying, ranked in competitive play, like just in regular game mode, hero pools. There's hero bans, but they're separate from the ones that are in Overwatch League and Open Division and contenders.
Contenders.
Yeah, we'll get to that in a sec.
Yeah.
So basically, if you're an Overwatch League player for like a week, you don't get to. You might not get to play your heroes in competitive play.
Yeah.
That you're meant to be playing, so you just have to rely on scrim time and general practice. It's a bit strange. It was a weird call, and they're announced on completely different days.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's a bit strange. I'm not sure why they made that call.
I think this is just Blizzard in a nutshell. They think they have a great idea, but the implementation is just not good. It's just not. It doesn't work for anyone.
Yeah, I agree. Because like the whole reason why they brought in like map pools and stuff like that was so that like what you were playing was the same as what people were playing in Overwatch League.
Yeah, they wanted to make the league, what they were watching on the league, or in the league, sorry, representative of the live environment.
Yeah.
They adamant about it. They kept talking about how they want to make the patch that the players are playing on as relative to the one that is live, or as close as it can be. And then they go and do this, and it just throws everything out.
Strange call. But I think the way that they're selected is fine, because it's just random.
Yeah, I have no problem with them being selected in that manner. It's just, it should be the same across the board. Like, I have no problem with like the league making more content which is entertaining. You know, you get everyone round, and all the casters are there, or some of them, and they do the draw.
Yeah.
And then they can talk about it a bit, but it should be the same as the live environment.
Yeah.
So the bands for next week: Soldier 76, Sombra, Winston, and Lucio. Soldier 76 hasn't been played.
It was so mean, and he got picked 3 times from the drum. It was just so sad for him. He's been super banned.
He's been barely played, and then he's come in.
It was fun to see him back in the meta, or back in the game for a week. And some of the play we saw with him was super good. And actually, one of the we touched on the Paris Philly final map, and actually on the final stage of the final map at 99.99. We saw some really sick soldier play from Exy on Paris, and that was that was an amazing example of like how fun he can be as part of the game.
Yeah, that's it. but he's gone now.
It's only for a week though. We have to remember it's only for a week.
It's only for a week, but it's just the fact that they were barely over that percent. You know, like Winston getting picked.
Yeah, I mean Winston's a shame, but
and the previous week when McCree, Widowmaker, Reinhardt, and Moira got banned, Winston was up for it. He had like a 10.1% pick rate, so he was viable to be banned, and it's just, I don't know, it's just a bit much. I think they need to narrow it down. Maybe. Contenders players have a day to practice prior to hero bans.
Yeah, so Contenders is played on Monday nights, and hero bans are made or picked on Sunday nights.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, they get basically 24 hours to decide what to play. It's super unfortunate.
That is coming from Icy, who plays for Third Impact. He's a flex tank. It's just, once again, we'll do something, we'll make it work. Contenders, what? No, don't worry about them.
Yeah, basically. So
fuck them, pretty much.
I mean, I manage a high masters, low grandmasters.
Yeah, plug that shit.
Overwatch team. We're competing in OD, and
what's the Twitter handle?
Roots_OW.
Everyone go follow.
And
do it.
Yeah, so hero bans are fine for us because we have the whole week. We have the same amount of time to prepare as an Overwatch League team. We play on Saturdays and Sundays. We scrim on Tuesdays and Fridays at the moment. And it's, you do what you just go with it. But to have 24 hours is it's no time at all. They're probably going to have a little bit of scrim time, but realistically it's going to be super minimal. And coaches basically have to come up with ideas by the time they start scrimming on the Monday. So they might have potentially 8 to 10 hours to come up with an idea. And that in that period of time, they should be fucking sleeping.
Yeah. Right, so hero bans didn't come into effect at the start of the league. They came into effect in the March.
True.
And the way I think this should have been done is that they should have been scheduled somewhat, so that way they'll look at the data at the start of March from the first games and say, right, going off that data there, these are the heroes that are going to be banned from this week going forward, or XYZ, and then give teams time to adjust to it.
They almost need a week delay. So you make a pick, and then the ban that is currently in place plays out, and then the pick that was made the week before then comes into place for a week.
Yeah.
And so on. So you're always kind of a week.
Yeah, like a
ahead
buffer
of and you've got time to practice. But then in that sense, if you've got matches coming up where you need to practice the other heroes that are available, then you might not get a chance to. But at least you get time to theory craft, I suppose.
Yeah, and at least that's something rather than just at the final hour, 11th hour. Oh, by the way, XYZ's banned. It's right. Okay.
I feel for the Contenders teams. I do. It's pretty rough.
It's awful for Contenders teams, and it's awful for coaching staff as a whole who are spending. Flame tweeted today, Houston Outlaws GM saying about coaches spending working 70-hour work weeks.
That's mad.
Just, when you think about it, it's just mad,
Yeah.
And things like this don't make it easier.
They definitely don't. No. It's pretty rough. Pretty rough time to be a coach in Overwatch, to be honest.
Yep. Right. Where do you want to go from here?
So there's been a couple of roster changes. Funnily enough, both of them come from Boston.
Yeah.
So Munchkin, who's DPS player, he was on Soul Dynasty before. He has left Boston by apparently mutual consent.
Yeah.
And has moved back to Contenders.
Yeah. Lucky future.
Yeah, I mean, who can blame him? Because he's essentially playing at a Contenders level in Overwatch League anyway, and is doing nothing for his reputation. So why not go back and get a fresh start? He's obviously not happy at Boston. It makes sense for everyone.
I think it's just sad, isn't it, that a player that played for Seoul from the beginning,
Yeah,
just tossed aside. There's obviously been some disagreement there.
yeah,
Hence the means of his departure. He's just been pushed out the back door, and
well,
it.
Jerry started to pop off, right? The other like Boston DPS player, Hitscan.
Yeah.
Jerry started to pop off, and everyone seems to love him. So if you want it out, now's the time to take it out.
Yeah, Jerry, it's the man. He ain't no mouse.
Yeah.
And as you alluded to, Axiom, their other main tank, because they've got two.
Yes, yeah, Fusions is their starter generally.
Yep. Is having some sort of unknown medical procedures being done on him, so he is out of the team for the foreseeable future.
Which is a shame for them, I suppose. But I mean, if it's a requirement for him, then it makes sense.
Yeah.
Life is bigger than video games, as much as we might not think it sometimes.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that we'll get onto that in a bit.
So yeah, hopefully gets better soon.
Yeah, get better soon, Axiom. I think if you're Boston, you then wrap Fusions in all the cotton wool possible.
Corona proof. Just dunk him in a vat of some kind of I don't know, antibacterial gel.
Yeah. Good old Cameron.
Yeah.
Keep him clean.
Yeah. Speaking of health, though.
Yeah.
We've literally spoken about coronavirus every week so far. But based on a tweet that Kodak, an Atlanta support player, made today, it would appear that the Paris homestand is going to be cancelled due to the coronavirus because the venue is not opening or something of those sorts.
Right. So, yeah, as you spoke about, Kodak tweeted out that the Paris homestand looks to be a no-go due to the coronavirus. He also included in his replies a tweet from the venue saying that essentially the venue would be closed for a period of time to make sure that there's no risk of anyone getting infected within
so is that basically until the 15th of April?
Yeah.
Like that is what I can see.
Yeah.
That is big Phil's Batman. It would have been really great because the Overwatch World Cup qualifier that was held in Paris was absolutely bumping.
Oh, the French crowds! The
French crowd is super passionate, and it was amazing to watch. So, it's a real shame. It's a real shame that that's not going to go ahead. But I can't get we can't get around seeing it.
No.
Yeah.
Not a lot we can really do about this, you can't just go, fuck it, it'll be alright. It sucks. It sucks for everyone, but there's bigger things than video games, I'm afraid, guys.
Yeah, It's public safety. We've said it before. It has to happen, so we just have to go with it. But I think that we're going to start seeing games being played behind closed doors because this fixture build up is going to be insane otherwise.
Yeah, and that does not just go for Overwatch League. That goes for all esports.
Yeah, basically.
There's League Legends matches that haven't been played yet in Korea because of this. The build up is just going to be crazy. There's the Korean Overwatch games that still haven't been played.
Yeah.
Although I heard the other day that they might have a solution for that, and that does sound like it is going to be played behind closed doors.
Closed doors. Yeah, that makes sense. Why not? At
they
least
need to
you can still stream it. I know it's not hype for the players, but at least you can stream it. People can watch it.
They got to play. They got to play.
Yeah, like there's something like 6 teams that haven't played yet.
Yeah.
Five teams. Sorry, 5 teams that haven't even played
Which
yet.
is a lot.
Which is the 4 Chinese teams and Seoul Dynasty as the Korean team. So it's they need to start getting games played now, I think.
Absolutely. All right. Should we talk about something a bit more happier?
Well, I think that you wanted to talk about something that you're extremely passionate about. But maybe you want to leave that till last. So
would that be the
it's
jacket?
a merch related situation.
I won't bang on because we've spoken about merch last week. Okay, so a young lady, I can't remember her name, but she put it on Twitter that she went to the Washington Justice homestand and they had the player tracksuit, jackets.
The one that everyone says are great.
Yeah, apparently they're amazing. For $190, they better be the best thing in the world. That is ridiculous. I don't own a single item of clothing that is worth $190.
It's obscene.
I have a suit that costs less than that. It's true.
Yeah, I know.
Who do they think goes to esports events? Who do they think tunes into streams and stuff? They're just completely fucking clueless.
Yeah, it's an obscene amount of money, and I can't see. I can't see anybody. Well, people will pay it, but your average Overwatch League fan is not going to buy one of those jackets.
No.
It's just not doable.
No, and then it hurts.
It's ridiculous.
And then it hurts the teams. It hurts the league. Well, because, and I don't know whether it's the league or Fanatics that set the price in. Because if it's the league impact on that, then that's their own fault, and that's stupid of them to put their jersey and tracksuit jacket prices so high. But
yeah,
it's not fair for the teams to suffer for that.
Yeah, I know. I agree.
Right.
Let's not stay on it too long, though. Let's move on.
Yeah,
because we're
actually,
getting angry about it.
Something nice and happy. So you might have seen a little while ago that Jane had a new Twitter profile picture, looking all dapper.
Interestingly enough, so did Avast.
And so people's tongues started wagging, not ears. Why would their ears start wagging? Not
So
fucking Dumbo.
my ears started to wag.
No, tongues started wagging. Could there be something in the pipeline? Well, they finally put out a trailer for their new show they're doing for Envy. Dive is back. As the Avast says. Fair play.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, Envy have gone all in on Overwatch League, to be fair, and
yeah,
power
totally.
to them.
Yeah.
Jane was a super popular content creator. Avast is a super popular content creator.
He is a force. I don't want to call him a meme lord because that sells him too short. But he is a force in the Twitter sphere of Overwatch culture.
Yeah, for sure.
And I forget that he used to be a player,
Yeah, same.
which is
I don't.
weird.
Did he actually make it on stage in
Yep.
season 1? Did
I
he?
think he made it on stage. I'm not sure. He played for Boston, didn't he?
Yeah, he did. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, it should be interesting. It's actually the first thing like this we've seen for Overwatch, I think.
And
Like an actual production, like based, like outside of like the main, like or the old Watchpoint
yeah,
segments and stuff. It's the
that's
first time we've
something
had
that one of the orgs is doing, not necessarily the actual league itself.
Yeah, absolutely.
Apparently, Vass said that he turned down money from the league to be on the desk to do this. So,
Okay,
yeah.
nice.
And it's interesting because I honestly thought in the off season that he was going to get signed up by the league.
Oh, same, 100%. But I can see why he made this decision because I would imagine that he has way more creative control.
Oh, 100%.
So and his Overwatch streams were so popular, like the watch alongs for the Overwatch League and stuff like that. I think it's probably the right call.
Yeah. So it's not clear quite yet what the content of this show is going to be and what the structure of it is, but they've also said that they're going to be doing a podcast as well.
Okay.
So they're doubling down on this content.
Nice.
Whether the podcast is actually just the audio form of what they're doing, who knows?
Yeah, it could be. Yeah. No, that's cool. Power to them. I hope it's good. I hope it turns out okay.
But yeah, totally.
Overwatch could use like legit content.
Yeah, definitely. They've struggled for the longest time to find any that's not within the actual league itself, and the league hasn't done anything to help that, and they don't promote it. God, they don't even promote contenders, do they?
This is true.
Yep, that's a yikes.
This weekend we had the CS:GO minor qualifiers for Rio.
Oh, excellent! Yeah.
So I don't know if there's dates on when those are going to be played, but basically all the teams got. It was qualifiers for a minor, which, if you perform well enough in, qualifies you for the major. So there's it's split into 4 regions. So there'll be 2 American teams, like North American teams. There'll be 2. Oh no, so Americas is split between North America and South America.
Yeah.
You'll have 2 European teams, 2 CIS teams, and 2 Asian teams go to the major. And there's some good teams in there. So that'll be interesting to watch play out. And Flashpoint starts next week, which is a brand new Counter-Strike league, which has been set up with the participation of people like Monte Cristo and Semler and Thorin, who we would know from Overwatch, but Semler and Thorin have massive background in CS anyway. I think this is Monty's first step into CS.
Yeah.
But it'd be really interesting because they've said that it's going to be it's all about the players. So it'd be really interesting to see like what it's actually like.
Yeah, it seems to be what Monty's vision was for the league.
Yeah.
But for a more popular game.
Yeah, basically. And it'll be interesting. It's going to be like basically like a tier 2 tournament.
Yeah.
With some like slightly lower standard teams in, but that's fine. If it pays off well, we might see bigger and better teams in it in the future. So that'd be interesting to watch play out as well.
Yeah.
And then, sorry, did you have anything to add to that?
No.
No.
No, I think you said it all beautifully. Yeah, it'd be interesting to see what happens with Flashpoint, and I wish them all the best.
Yep. And then the last thing I want to touch on is, you know that I'm a big fan of Arena FPS.
Really?
Unreal
Is he?
Unreal Tournament, Quake, and
Wait, is
actually,
Quake back?
no, Quake isn't back.
Is
Fuck
Dive not back? Is Quake back?
Quake. Fuck Quake.
No, you can't say that on the internet.
I can say what I will like. Actually, I didn't mention last week that they had the Quake World Championships, and Rafa picked up his third Quake World Championship. Interestingly, Rafa actually stopped playing Quake and went to play Overwatch. Played Overwatch professionally for Team Liquid for a period of time, and then went back to Quake.
Fair enough.
When Liquid left the professional Overwatch scene.
Mm.
But fuck Quake. We're talking about Diabotical. Diabotical, made by the GD Studios. It's in its second week of beta. And we've seen online and LAN tournaments already starting for that. So Arena FPS is fully alive and well.
And you were very happy.
And I'm very happy about it. It's a super fun game. It plays really well. It looks good. It's going to be free to play. They have like £250,000 to pump into esports in their first year. I think it's going to be like a pretty big deal.
Yeah, they are. From what I've seen from their Twitter and all the feedback they've had, and what I've seen on my timeline, it seems to have gone down brilliantly. The beta.
Yeah, everybody's super hyped about it. People that love Arena FPS are already raving about it. So yeah, I think we've got a serious game on our hands now.
Hopefully, the more the better.
Yeah, absolutely.
Slight bit of breaking news. Just confirmation that the Paris Eternal homestand is without a venue currently, and it will either be delayed or cancelled.
Yeah, I've just seen that as well. Actually, that's a shame.
Yeah,
but we are where we are.
Absolutely.
Never mind. As long as the London one doesn't get cancelled, because I got tickets.
I would not hold your breath.
Well,
on that great
true.
note, happy note, we'll call that a day.
Yeah, I think that's fine.
Thank you so much for tuning into the Kill Feed,
cheers.
and we'll see you again next week.
Yeah, see you next week.
Bye.
Bye.